now tuned into The Truth with G. Inspire, educate, and uplift. If you can't handle the truth, this ain't the show for you. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So sit back, relax, and buckle up and enjoy this ride.
The Truth with G. The Truth with G. The Truth with G. All right. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Truth with G on WPMM Online Radio. I am your boy, Gerald Graham. You know me as G. Once again, we are back to talk about the issues that matter to you and your community. Hope all is well with everyone. Hope all is well. It is top of the week once again. It's Monday. It is Monday. Hope that you guys had a great weekend. Hope you had a safe weekend. Hope you stayed cool because it is still hot out there. And glad to see you back here on this day, on this Monday. So, once again, we are back to talk about these issues, and we still have plenty of them to talk about. I tell you, it's been crazy. It has been crazy what's going on in our world today, not just locally, but around the globe. It's just I don't even know how to I don't even know how to describe it, if you will, but just so much going on. But anyway, we are back. We are back. It is Monday. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm here every Monday and Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I want to thank my listeners. Because it wasn't for you, I would not be here. So thank you so very much for being so diligent and tuning in, whether it be live or if you go back and watch the show at a later time, because we're always posted on my Facebook page. The whole show is there. So you can literally go back and find any show that I've done, and it's all going to be on Facebook. So if you want to go back and listen to the show. So, but we are Changing Rising Media Group. It's the parent company of WPMM Online Radio. Right here at WPMM, we play more music. We play the best in R&B, jazz, neo soul, talk, independent hip hop, and old school music. You can go to the website, WPMMradio.com, and listen to the show. You can also go to TuneIn, iTunes, and you can tell Alexa to play WPMM. She will oblige as well. You can download the app. It's a free app. We're in the App Store or the Google Play Store if you have an Android, and the Apple Store if you have an Apple device. It's a free app. You can download it on any device and take us anywhere that you please to take us. So go ahead and do that. Once again, it's a free app. But we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and I think we got kicked off of Twitter. I don't know if we're back on Twitter yet. But again, I don't think there's a lot of people that's not on Twitter anymore. So I am trying to get, when I deal with this technology, one day I'm gonna give me some people. I'm gonna give me some people to where I have some people doing the background work for me, because I have to. I'm the light man. I'm the stage hand. I'm the director. I'm the producer. I'm the writer. I'm all that stuff. So one of these days, I'm gonna get me some people, and I'm gonna have some people to help me do this show. And if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, it's hard for me to talk and do something else at the same time. I'm trying to do something on my Facebook here, but again, I'm one of those illiterate people, where I can't do two things at one time. So if I pause when I'm talking, that means I'm reading something. Because if I don't pause, whatever I'm reading, it's going to come out of my mouth. So, but I'm trying to get it together here. But once again, let's go ahead and take care of the particulars so we can jump on into this show. Mr. JD, if you're listening out there, go ahead and share me on the WPMM page. I don't think I'm on WPMM page, Facebook page, or Mr. JD, if you're listening, go ahead and share. If you would, I'm going to try to find you here in just a second. I think I got you. I think I got you. I might have just got you, JD. So check your Facebook page. Make sure I'm on WPMM Facebook page. I think I figured it out. I'm not totally illiterate. I do have a couple of brain cells left, and I can utilize them. But anyway, the views and opinions expressed by the individual radio hosts and guests are of their own and does not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WPMM Radio. WPMM does not intend to malign with any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. Now that we have that out the way. All right, if you're on Facebook, let me know you're out there. Give me a heart, thumbs up, do something. Let me know you're out there. And we're going to jump into these topics tonight. We're not taking phone calls tonight, but however, if you do want to engage with me, if you're listening on Facebook, you can drop your comment into the comment section on Facebook, and we'll definitely read your comment, and we'll talk about pertinent information that you want to talk about, even if it has nothing to do with the topics that I am talking about tonight. If you have a topic of your own you want to bring up, just drop it into the comment section on Facebook, and we will definitely tackle those issues. Because once again, we're here for you. We are here for you, and I do this for you. I don't do this for me because Lord knows I have 100 million things on my plate, and but I make sure that I get on the air to get this information out to you guys. So, but anyway, Mr. Larry Pugh is on. Good to see you there, Mr. Larry. Once again, if you're on Facebook, let's go ahead and share. And what we want to talk about today, we want to tackle this domestic violence situation. And I'll be telling you more about that here in a moment, but we'll come back to that. We'll talk about that. We're gonna speak on the issue there in Georgia. Trump is imminent that he will be arrested for a fourth time in the state of Georgia on trying to overthrow an election. So that's coming up. We'll talk about that here in a moment. We'll also talk a little bit about the other previous arrests that he's gotten, and he's been saying some stuff that I'm trying to understand why these judges and whatnot are scared to do what they do to everybody else and allow him to get away with it. We'll talk about that as well. Also, we're going to talk about this global warming situation. If you don't believe global warming is real, I just don't understand, because the weather patterns that we're having, the situations that we're having, whether it's storms, whether it's fires, floods, what have you, it has to be attributed to one thing, which is global warming. But we have Republicans that still don't believe global warming is real, and we'll talk about that as well. Also, the Supreme Court is the only entity, if you will, in our government that don't have any type of real code of ethics, if you will. And Clarence Thomas is catching the brunt of all the corruption right now, all the perceived corruption in what he's doing. They're shedding a light on him. Do I believe he's the only one that's doing things that he shouldn't be doing? No, I do not. However, he should understand that just because he got Republican behind his name, don't mean he's still not black. And I think he forgets that sometimes. So all the attention is on him. We'll talk about that as well. Also, I want to go back. I want to go back just a little bit and talk about because it's been, I'm still seeing things that I don't like seeing and whatnot, and as far as our homeless community. And if you guys know, a few weeks ago we did our back in the month of July, I did my campaign, if you will, to help the homeless. And for the whole month of July, I collected donations and whatnot. And it was for the purpose of making sure that our homeless community got some items that they need. And I did that. And thanks to all who, once again, thank you all who donated. for that cause. I really do appreciate it. The homeless people that received these bags, I was able to fill 80 bags. You know, they appreciate it. I tell you, the interactions I had with these people when I was passing out these bags was phenomenal. It was great, and at the same time, it was sad as well because this was literally the first time that I actually been like face to face with our homeless community. You know, so many of them. Because again, I passed out 80 bags, 80. So that means I came in contact with 80 individuals who were homeless, and it was an eye opener for me. It made me view that whole situation in a whole new light. I never thought, even though I knew it was bad, I just never seen it so up close and personal, and it kind of it bothered me. It bothered me because these people really have nothing, and the simplest things they appreciate. I'll be honest with you guys because my name of my show is The Truth with G, so I try to be upfront about everything that I do, everything I say, everything I do. I be upfront about it. I don't lie on people. I don't create habit based on any type of lies or rumor or anything of that nature. Um, but I'm gonna tell you what I did, and I hesitated to give a bag to an individual based on their political beliefs. Not that I wasn't going to give it to them, but I was like, shit, do it. It's like I hesitated for a half a second, and the guy probably saying, "What is Gerald talking about right now? What is he talking about?" What it was is that I actually went into passing out these bags. I actually went into the homeless camps, if you will. I went into the woods and where I was told that people had their camps or whatnot. So I literally, when passing out some of these bags, I literally went in the woods to find our homeless community. One of the homeless camps I came upon, um, I have to say it was somewhat. I hate to use the word elaborate, but for someone who was homeless, he had literally made a living quarters for himself. Uh, I mean the whole nine. It was in the woods. He had a fence around his little wooden fence or whatever around his area. He had built a little hut there, and when I came upon his situation there, first thing I noticed there was a DeSantis sign in front of his little makeshift hut, if you will. And when I seen that DeSantis sign, I hesitated for half a second. And the reason I hesitated is because he had this DeSantis sign, and I almost allowed my political views to get in the way of the purpose of what I was doing. And again, I don't pull no punches. I don't bullshit people. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Whether it's good or bad, I'm still telling the truth about it. So, Mr. John, what's going on? Mr. John has joined us on Facebook. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Um, but I almost let my political views get in the way. Not that I wasn't gonna give it to him, but I promise you I hesitated for a half a second. But anyway, said all that to say this. With the situation about homeless, there are so many homeless people. There was one homeless camp that I was going to visit, but this situation was, after talking to a couple of people about this one particular camp, uh, talking about the numbers of people that may have been in this camp, I chose not to go into that particular camp. And I didn't choose to go not to go in that camp because they didn't deserve anything. Is that based on the numbers, based on what I was told in this particular camp, I did not have enough to service everyone there. Mr. John, Mr. John, that's Mr. John, Mr. John, Mr. John. The that means that the revolution will be televised. Mr. If you wonder what I'm talking about, Mr. John, he said, "What's up with the folding chairs and the background and the scenery?" That means that the revolution will be televised. That folding chair is symbolic. It's symbolic of August 5th, 2023. That folding chair means redemption. That folding chair means get back. That folding chair means reparations. That folding chair means a lot in this day and age. So if you haven't seen the video, look up Montgomery Brawl on the internet. Watch the video, and you will see that folding chair show up and seek justice for all the injustice that we have suffered. So that's what that is, Mr. John. That's what that is. That folding chair is symbolic of 400 years of oppression, 400 years of being somewhat submissive, if you will. That chair means freedom. That chair means by any means necessary. That chair means we're not going to take it anymore. So that too, Mr. John, that too. I was going to put the hat back there too. I was going to put the hat back there because you know when the hat come off, that means he calling the cavalry. The cavalry has to respond. He said that folding chair. We ain't taking it no more. Exactly right. So that's what it is. It's symbolic. It's symbolic. It means a lot to a lot of people these days. So, but anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about with the homeless situation. And like I say, for me to be so up close and personal with the homeless, it just gave me a whole new outlook on this homeless situation and the people that are homeless, the interactions that I had. You know, I didn't run up on anybody that wasn't nice to me. I didn't run up on anybody that was just mean. You know, even though that they were in their situation, what have you. Everybody was pleasant. Everybody thanked me. You had a lot of blessings and things of that nature, and it was surreal. And I found out that most people that are homeless are not homeless because they choose to be. They're homeless by circumstance. They're homeless because they are not employable. They are homeless because they suffer mental illnesses. They are homeless because they suffer physical illnesses. They are homeless because they don't have an address. They don't have the proper clothing to show up at a job interview. They don't have the means to go online and fill out an application. They don't have the basics, if you will. And they have situations that that they can't get ahead of, if you will. And you know, I still cringe when I hear people. First thing when you see a homeless person, if somebody's commenting about someone homeless, they always want to say, "Well, get a job." But these same people, the people that say get a job, is not going to help them or help facilitate them getting a job, or going to give them contacts or connections to someone who can help. A lot of these people that are standing on the sides of the road, they hold up signs, we'll work. They hold up signs to say they will work. However, who's going to hire them? Who's going to hire them when their clothes are dirty and when they're tattered and torn, and they don't have proper shoes on their feet, and they're not clean shaven, they don't have haircuts? Who's going to hire them in that situation? And they're in that situation because they're homeless. And the fact of the matter is, most of the people that are within the sound of my voice as we speak right now, most people are within 2 paychecks of being homeless themselves. Let them miss 2 paychecks. They miss 2 paychecks, they're in jeopardy of paying their rent, they're in jeopardy of paying their bills, their mortgage, because they missed 2 paychecks. Now, if you was in a situation where you missed 2 paychecks and you couldn't pay your rent for a couple months, and your landlord told you, or your mortgage company told you, you have to get out, what are you going to do? You're going to have to rely on the help and the resources to help get you out of that situation. So it just gave me a whole new outlook. And any time that you get an opportunity to help someone, and my pockets don't run deep at all. I promise you they don't. But if anyone gets an opportunity to help someone who has nothing, please do. And don't worry about, if you give, someone a dollar, don't worry about if that person going to buy alcohol or drugs or whatever have you. You give out the kindness of your own heart, the goodness of your own heart. You give because that person is requesting assistance or requesting aid. So you give out of the kindness of your own heart. You be a cheerful giver. And what they do with whatever you give is on them. Your part is to help your fellow man. You can't worry about what happens after that. Hopefully whatever is given, they will take it and they will utilize it for their own benefit. But if they don't, you can't control that. I've been in situations where I have went through, somebody's drive-through or went to somebody's restaurant and got me food, and first thing I do is pull up on the next light or what have you, and there's someone standing there at the light with a sign that says anything helps, or with a sign that says, hungry, or whatever the case may be. And that food that I just went through this drive-through or went to this restaurant to get for myself, I've given that food away. And then, but I have the means to where I can stop somewhere else and still get me a meal. Can I do that every day? No, I can't. Because again, my pockets don't run that deep to where I can feed the world. I can't do it. So Mr. John Mr. Pugh put a comment in there. I don't want to miss your comments. Mr. Pugh said the folding chair mean we ain't taking it no more. And Mr. John said men need to feel the same way about child support. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, whole nother show, child support. I'm not gonna get on that tonight because I start talking about that and I'll be on that the rest of the night. But anyway, with the homeless situation, anytime you get an opportunity to help someone that has nothing, please do. And I promise you, when they hold up that sign that says anything helps, they literally mean anything helps. So let's move on. Let's move on to talk about this domestic violence situation. If you're just joining us, I just spent the first half of my show talking about the homeless situation. If you missed it, go back and listen to it, because I think hopefully I said something that makes a difference. But domestic violence. Just to let you guys know, coming up this Thursday, I plan to do a show a full show on domestic violence. And in that show, I will have survivors of domestic violence that will be appearing on the show with me. Now, not announcing any names at this point. But I will have, hopefully, I will have at least 3 or 4 people joining me. This Thursday. I'm sorry. I think Facebook may be tripping again. So if I lose you guys on Facebook, go to WPMMradio.com or go to the app and listen to the show. Facebook may be tripping again, so we'll see what happens here. But anyway, Thursday show will be dedicated to those survivors of toxic relationships and domestic violence, because we seem to have a big problem with toxic relationships. We seem to have a big problem with particularly our ladies dying because they don't know how to get out of toxic and violent relationships. Recently, if you don't know, recently right here in Pensacola, just a few days ago, we had another domestic violence death. Young lady at work doing her job, and she was killed by, y'all use the term baby daddy. And, from the information that's coming out, apparently it was a toxic relationship. If you remember, not too long ago, we had another young lady that was at a gym. She was killed by domestic violence while she was in the gym. And I believe she worked at the gym. And I could be wrong with that, but she was in the gym. Not too long ago, we had another domestic violence situation where a young lady was killed. And then the young man that killed her killed himself. We had that situation, domestic violence. A few months back, we had a situation at a Circle K or gas station, if you will. I think it was Circle K, where a man lost his life behind a domestic situation. So there's a pattern here. And these are just the ones that resulted in death. The ones that are covered in the news. But this young lady, 20 years old, she had a child by this individual. The young lady was 18 years old. I take that back. The gentleman or the individual that killed her was 20 years old. They had a child together. I got a problem with that already, because the math ain't adding up. The math is just not adding up with me, because I have a problem with that already. If she's 18 now and he's 20 and they have a child, and I'm assuming the child has to be somewhere around a year old. If you do the math, this individual should not have even been involved with this young lady, because she was a minor. According to my calculations, based on the fact that it takes 9 months to have the baby. The child was 2, John. Yeah, the child. Thank you, Mr. Pugh. Thank you, Mr. John. The child was 2 years old. So I know I went to public school, but I can do a little bit of math. Basic math, I'm good with it. So if you have a 2-year-old child, you have an 18-year-old female, that means that she had to be somewhere around 16 when the pregnancy took place. And now we have a 20-year-old male. which means that he had to be around age 18 when the pregnancy started. So I got a problem with that already. You know, I was in a situation. I had three boys, so I had to educate three boys on the fact that once they turn 18 years old, even though they may have still been in school, that you are now a legal adult. You cannot be with anyone under the age of 18. So I got a problem with that to start with. Oh, Mr. John. Mr. John said that the age of consent in Alabama is 14. I did not know that, Mr. John. I did not know that. I have to do my homework on that one. But I still got a problem with it. I still have a problem. I also have a problem with the fact that this particular young man had 2 prior domestic violence charges and arrests where charges were subsequently dropped in those 2 prior domestic violence arrests, which means that the situation had been going on for a while. So this young lady, 20 years old, I don't know her background. I don't know her upbringing. I don't know anything about this young lady. All I know is that she is a victim of an idiot who decided to take her life for whatever reason. So whatever the situation was, there had been 2 separate incidents where this individual was arrested, charges was dropped, and that young lady dropped the charges. That's the only way the charges got dropped. I'm sure the state didn't drop any charges. That young lady chose not to pursue legal ramifications against this individual. And now you see what her situation is. Her situation is that she is no longer on this earth. She is her body is still here on this earth, but her spirit is gone. That means that that young child that she had, that 2-year-old child, does not have a mother anymore. It means that that 2-year-old child, the father, is going to be locked up in the penitentiary for the rest of his life because it's capital murder. It's premeditated first-degree murder. In the state of Florida, that carries either a life or a death sentence. So that young child don't have a mother because the mother's dead, and don't have a father because the father's an idiot. So Mr. Johns put out there legal age of consent in Alabama is 16. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Mr. Pugh, Mr. Larry Pugh. He did the research. Appreciate that, Mr. Pugh. The age of consent is 16. And I think there may be a caveat to that, Mr. Pugh, but I'll research it. I think there's a caveat. I will research it. I will research it, but I appreciate that information. Good evening, Ms. Watkins. Thank you for joining us tonight. Right now, we're talking about, if you're just joining us on the Truth with G, we're talking about domestic violence situation. And talking about the situation where a young lady lost her life while she was working at Home Depot. She didn't work for Home Depot. She was working for a contract company that was there to do inventory for Home Depot. And we know it was planned. We know it was planned out. We know it was premeditated because this young lady was at the tail end of her shift. She had less than 5 minutes to go before they wrapped up and finished their shift for that day. And he showed up right at the end of her shift. So it was premeditated. But this young lady at 20 years old, she had probably, I'm assuming, had been involved with this particular individual for at least 3 years prior, going back to probably age 15. Because she's 18 now, she has a 2-year-old child. Takes 9 months to have a baby. So we're going to go back 3 years. Like I said, I went to public school, but I can do a little bit of math. But there were signs. And I don't know this lady's upbringing or family, anything of that nature. But there were signs, definite signs, because there were arrests that were made in domestic violence situations. So what we need to do in regards to these domestic violence, first of all, we need to educate our young men. We need, and our older knuckleheads, if you will, that putting your hands on a woman is not the thing to do. Put violence against a woman is not the thing to do. We have to teach these young men and these old idiots that walking away is the best remedy. Walking away is the best thing to do, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not saying a woman can't whoop a man ass, because they can. There's some women out there that can truly fight. So I'm not saying that men don't take ass whoopings. And a lot of men take ass whoopings because they just don't want to put their hands on a woman. But they'll stay in a situation where they get their ass whooped, and for whatever reason they hang around. They won't fight back. But for our women that's in these situations, you have to find a way to get out. You cannot stay in this situation. You cannot allow that man to love you to death. So Mr. John put up that Layla Ali, yeah. I don't think anybody gonna mess with Miss Ali. I really don't. But you have to find a way to get out. And on Thursday's show, I will be having guests on the show that have been victims of domestic violence, that have gotten out of the situation. And we're going to talk to those young ladies, and we're going to see what they went through, how they got there, the signs that they saw prior to the violence starting, what took place while they were in the situation, and we're going to talk about how they got out and what they're doing now to avoid that type of relationship going forward. And I think it'll be a good thing for our young ladies to listen to hear, to know that there are people out there that can escape these type of situations. And I get tired of hearing our young ladies say, but I love them. And again, I'm not just saying young ladies are the only ones victims of domestic violence, because again, that's not true. Men get their ass whooped too. I get tired of hearing young ladies saying, but I love them. I get tired of young ladies saying, but he's my child's father. He's my children's father. I get tired of women saying, well, I don't want to leave him and try to start over again. Those excuses will put you in the grave. Because 9 times out of 10, when violence starts between a man and a woman, especially if from a man to a woman, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. Because once they slap you the first time and you stay, that gives them ammunition and the fuel and the fire to slap you again. Next time they're gonna slap you twice, and then they're gonna say I'm sorry, and then they're gonna buy you a burger with cheese and a large drink, and then you're gonna think everything okay until he slap you 3 times. If he hit you once, he'll hit you twice, and it only gets worse, because as the beatings and the hitting continue, and you stay around, that's giving them the ammunition to continue to do what they do. You're giving them the okay. You're allowing them to hit you and say I'm sorry, and then buy you that purse, or buy you that pair of shoes, or take you to dinner and wine and dine you, and then as soon as you say something out the way, or you've gone too long, or you're on the phone too long, or you're talking to this family member on the phone and they don't want you, now they're controlling you. They're telling you what to do. Oh, you can't talk on the phone. Oh, yeah, no, I don't want you talking to this person. No, you can't go around that family member because that family member has this friend, and that now they're controlling what you do. They're controlling what you say. Now you're isolated. Now you don't go anywhere unless he's with you. And when you go somewhere when he's with you, you don't talk to people, because if you speak to someone, he thinks that you sleeping with him, especially if it's somebody of the opposite sex. So you isolate yourself. And then when you do go somewhere with him and you get home, and the first, you hear stuff like, oh, I saw you looking at that dude, and then he's beating on you again, and then he apologizes. And then you lay in the bed with him, the same person that's beating the hell out you. You lay in the bed with him, you give him your whole self. He say, I'm sorry. He say, I love you, and you stay. Mr. Larry Pugh said, love don't beat you. Don't cheat on you. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't. Y'all know I can't see. When I get off work, I look at a computer screen all day. So when I'm trying to look at my computer screens, and it's hard to see. So I can read. I'm not illiterate. I just can't see what I'm reading. But Mr. Larry Pugh say, love don't beat on you. Don't cheat on you. That's not love. That's lust. And I have to say, for myself, I'm over a century old. I've had relationships. I've been married. It's my second marriage. Been married for almost 23 years. Been with the same woman for the last almost 28 years. I was married before for almost 9 years. I had girlfriends coming up in high school. I had, relationships here and there. But I have never in my life put my hands on a woman. Never in my life put my hands on a woman. I've had a situation where a woman tried to hit me. And for that moment, I had to grab an arm to restrain from hitting me. And I grabbed the arm long enough for me to remove myself from the situation. Because there wasn't no sense in me hitting the back. What was I going to prove? That I can knock you out? I know I can knock you out. So what's the purpose? Why would I swing and hit you back? I've never put my hands on a woman, and I never will. The only time that I can see myself doing any harm to a woman is if my life is personally in jeopardy. If I'm in fear of losing my life, and I'm in a situation where I fear a woman is in a position to take my life, then I have to react and do what I got to do to save my life. But other than that, I can't even fathom putting my hand on a woman. Miss Triple L is on. How you doing? How you doing, Miss Triple L? Good to see you on here. I ain't seen you in a minute. Hope all is well with you. But this show will be posted on my Facebook page, so you can go back and listen to it at any point. At any point. But good to see you on here again. Talking about domestic violence here on the Truth with G. If you're just joining us. But here in Pensacola, we're seeing this life lost to domestic violence too often. Again, I can think of 4 separate incidents in the past few months where someone has lost their life in a domestic violence situation. And again, those are just the ones that have lost their life. They don't. There's not a whole lot of reporting on the ass whoopings. The people that took an ass whooping from their partner, if you will. There's not a lot of reporting on that. There's not a lot of data down at the sheriff department or the police department because these things are not reported. However, if they are reported, oftentimes it probably I would say 7 to 8 out of every 10 cases that are charged in domestic violence, the charges are dropped. Probably 70% of the time. And I don't have that particular figure, but I guarantee you that I am so very close. 70% of all domestic violence arrests end up in charges being dropped. Only time the state will pick up the charges if there's a death involved or is there's serious bodily harm involved, and sometimes the state will pick up the charges and proceed. But to send a message, you can't file charges and then drop the charges. You're sending the message that, okay, you can beat on me, but I'm not going to do anything to hurt you. I'm not going to do anything to make you accountable. I'll hold you accountable, if you will. But we are going to tackle this subject with real live people, individuals, this coming Thursday, as we talk to people who have been in this situation, have lived it, have overcome it, if you will. And the reason I'm so passionate about this situation is that, you know, I don't hide my I don't hide my upbringing or whatever. Everybody knows that I have issues when it comes to domestic violence, because my mother was a victim of domestic violence, and I witnessed it. I seen it. However, I was just too small to do anything about it. I was too young to do anything about it. Even at a young age, even when I started witnessing this domestic violence, when it would happen, I remember my siblings either going in another room or going outside or whatever the case may be, and I would be the only one that would stay there by my mom. While this domestic violence took place. Again, I wasn't old enough to do anything about it. I'm talking memories back, you know, 5, 6, 7 years old. So I've seen it, and growing up, I grew up with the mentality that I saw my mom being hit on. So I grew up with the mentality that I wasn't going to be that type of person to put my hand on a woman. I was not going to be that person. Mr. Pugh put in there, sleeping with the enemy will kill you. You're exactly right. And sleeping, I know people call having sex sleeping with somebody. But we all grown folks here. We are all grown folks here. And it's sad, and this is coming from women who put up with this type of activity because of the sex. The sex is good, so therefore they stay in these situations. And that's one of the reasons that is given that just makes me cringe. And you know, again, we all grown as listening to the show. You can find dick anywhere. But you don't have to find dick that has hands that's going to abuse you. I guarantee you that the same way that he's slanging, somebody else is slanging the same way. You just got to get away from that idiot to find somebody who only slinging dick and not slinging hands. Or hell, be by yourself. I'd rather see you by yourself than see you on somebody's t-shirt. And when I say somebody's t-shirt, I mean after you are gone, after you're dead and gone, after you're buried in the grave. People walk around with your face on their T-shirts. They're wearing their T-shirts to your funeral with your face on it, and they're wearing it because you stayed in a situation that you should have made way to get out of. And I know a lot of times, especially with women, they put themselves in a situation where they rely on someone financially, and they like, okay, if this person leave, or if I leave this person, how am I going to support these kids? How am I going to take care of this? How am I pay my rent? How am I do this, that, and another, whatever? There's ways out there. There are ways out there to do it. You just got to be willing to find a way. But don't stay in that situation until that person loves you to death. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Get out. If you press charges, leave the charges. Now, if you're out there doing some bogus stuff, if you're out there falsely accusing people, we're not talking about that type of situation. Because we know that there's situations where false allegations are put on someone. And once those false allegations go on someone, it stigmatizes them. It puts a stigma on that person. It can be, it can be totally made up. But once somebody is put in a situation where they're arrested, or they're accused of being brutal, or beating a woman or whatever, and it's not true, it's something that somebody made up, that person's life is generally ruined. Or their situation is bad, dire for a long time. People lose their jobs over a situation like that. But I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about, the falsely accused. I'm talking about the actual people who are in a violent, a toxic relationship. Let's see. Miss Minnie put a comment in there. She says, I was a victim when I decided to leave. My son was 3 months old. Didn't stay with no one who want to hit on me because of no children. Don't stay with someone who hit on you because of children. And Miss Watkins, I applaud you for being strong enough and being independent enough to walk away from that situation. And like I say, there's if there's a will, there's a way. Sometimes you have to rely on the help that you may not want to get, but sometimes you have to rely on some help long enough to put yourself in a better situation. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do long enough to get yourself in a better situation. But any situation is better than being dead. Especially if you have kids. You have to be around for your kids. Don't let your domestic partner deprive you of seeing your kids grow up just because you felt I had to stay because of my kids and this and that and other. Don't put yourself in that position where you feel that way. Know the signs. When a person show you who they are, and when it comes to domestic violence, believe them. If he hit you once, he'll hit you again. If he pull that gun on you and put it to your head and tell you he'll kill you, he will kill you. It ain't he was just playing. He will kill you. He or she. Again, I'm not just singling out the women in this domestic violence situation, because there are men in the same situation as well. But Thursday's show will be dedicated to domestic violence. I will have young women on the show that has been there, been through it, and have come out on the other side. They will talk about their stories and how they made it through and what they went through. So that's Thursday's show. So make sure you tune in on this Thursday. But we're coming up to the top of the hour. It's time for me to get up out of here. Time for me to leave you guys for today. Thank you for listening. It's been a enlightening show. I still have some topics that I didn't get to, and we'll get to those later. But I just felt the need to talk about those situations tonight, especially with that domestic violence. We got to get it under control. We have to get our ladies in safer situations, and got to know how to get out. There's resources out there. Utilize them to get yourself out of that bad situation. So, but anyway, it's time for me to get up out of here. I will see you guys on Thursday, 6:00 p.m. with a special guest. Make sure you join me. Tell all your people that we're having a show dedicated to domestic violence. I need everybody and anybody who can listen to the show. Somebody needs to be helped, and we're going to try to get them that help. So until Thursday, you guys be safe. Y'all be blessed. And I am out of here.